Welcome to Exit Strategy Game Zombie Edition. I'm Chris, and this is
Thomas.
You and I are both huge zombie game fans.
Oh yeah.
I'll say that we honestly haven't played all the zombie games out there. But
enough of them.
Yeah, enough of them. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, I think what we're going to do is start off with some of our favorite zombie games. I would have to say that my top three, the first game that I listed as my top three would be The Last of Us. I know some people probably wouldn't include that in a zombie category discussion, but for me, I couldn't omit it.
Yeah.
Even though they were a different breed or type of zombie affected by a fungus, whatever, I had to include it because it's an amazing game.
Yeah, it's one of those games that I kind of struggled with whether I should include it in the top three list or not, but I think it's close enough that it's worthy of making it. It's definitely top quality.
Well, and when you talk about a zombie game, you have to look at some variables. What qualifies a game as a zombie game? And of course, the traditional zombie is someone who dies and then regenerates, comes back to life as this mindless, brain-eating form that only wants to attack the human race until they're all gone.
Yeah.
Granted, this was a different spin on the zombie genre. It still fits into this, I think, realm. What I loved about it, I loved the story. It was top-notch. One of the, if not the best story I've ever seen. Moments that just were breathtaking in the game. And then you've got the graphics, the scenery, just the way they did everything. And this was you have to remember, this was a previous gen game. And in my opinion, that game, and then you've got Tomb Raider, the reboot game they did for last gen system. And then you got GTA 5. Some of the most beautiful looking games
Came from
on previous gen, and they were able to port those over and remaster them, and they still played really well on the next gen systems. But I love the story, the graphics, and the character connection was huge. Like to be able to, from the very beginning of the game, connect with Joel.
Yeah.
Just instantly, and even his daughter.
He's relatable.
Yeah. And so when you see play the first 15 minutes, and all of a sudden what happens, you're just...
I almost cried.
I
almost cried.
Heart tripped out of your chest. So it's crazy to think. But so those are my kind of the three things that I really enjoyed about it, that really kind of drew me. And I would say a lot of people probably agree with that those three things were key for them. Yeah.
The gameplay, the graphics, the story. I mean, it was emotional, and I mean, it never got repetitive. It stayed fresh all the way through. I mean, it was fantastic.
So my number two, was that your number one, Last of Us?
Yeah, it's definitely top of the list.
Okay. My number two, and you know, we've had many discussions before. I'm a graphics person. I love graphics. It has to fit the game. And then from there, I like story and I like gameplay. So I'm more of a... got to be as realistic as possible. And if there's any issues with the game, it draws me out of it and it disappoints me. So with that being said, this game is my number two because the graphics for it were great, but it wasn't meant to be a realistic game. It was more like a hand-drawn comic book, and that's Telltale's The Walking Dead. And I think that was a lot of people's favorite also.
That's a good choice.
It's really, really good game. I love the artwork on it. It didn't have to be realistic because it was more of I felt like I was playing a comic.
More story driven.
Yeah, really deep story. It's an emotional story. It gripped you, and so I would have to say that's my number two. And again, the story was key. The character connection was amazing, and then like I said, the artwork.
See, I played a little bit of the first season. I probably played 3 or 4 episodes, but I never finished it, so I don't really have a good judgment on the game as a whole. I enjoyed what I played, being able to make decisions that affect the lives of the characters that are in your group was really engrossing. But I can't say that it would be my top 2. Mine, I would probably, as much as I love the Left 4 Dead series, I would have to say that it's going to be Dying Light.
Yeah.
It's a little dated now, but the gameplay, the open world, and the co-op, I thought was fantastic. The zombies, they weren't overdone. You know, some games just kind of overdo it with the zombies and they make them a little crazy and make these giant mutants. And there's a few like that in the game, but overall the zombies were just what you would think a classic zombie would be like. And then, especially after the DLC had come out with the buggy and extra weapons and everything, it was fantastic. I loved it. I put a lot of hours into that game.
Let's talk about that for a moment. You said a lot of the zombie games like to go overboard with their zombies. That's a big thing for me too. You take a game like Resident Evil. You got the first Resident Evil 2, and there are some things in there that deal with mutation, and that's the T virus, and you play that. But I loved the first and the second Resident Evils, even the remake. I didn't include this on my list because I haven't played the new one, but it's
Resident Evil 2. I played the demo for it, and what I played was incredible.
Yeah,
the graphics were top notch. I want to get the full game, and I'm sure it'll probably jump up there on my top 3 list once I get it.
Yeah, I've read great reviews. I've watched a little bit of gameplay footage, and anyway, so you take a look at the zombies, and when I think about the Resident Evil series, and you look at the slow-moving zombies, that's what I'm a huge fan of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like. I know you mentioned Left 4 Dead earlier. I wasn't a big fan of Left 4 Dead.
I love Left 4 Dead.
The fast-moving zombie just doesn't intrigue me. And as much as, and this isn't on my list, but it's not at the bottom of my list either, but the Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare was a good zombie game. It was a good zombie add-on, but they had some of the ones that were crawling real fast towards you.
Yeah.
It's like, I like a type of zombie game that they're slow-moving zombies. Their danger is that they can sneak up on you because they're so slow moving, and they will get you in groups. And so that's my kind of thing. So when I look at games with fast moving zombies, I'm like, eh. And plus you see a lot of games where they will make their eyes glow, or the
State of Decay was guilty of that.
State of Decay, you see the Call of Duty zombie mode doing a lot of that, and it's well, even Dying Light, didn't they do that in nighttime when some of the zombies?
I think so. It might have been just certain
ones. But I just like that zombie that goes back to, I'm old school, George A. Romero, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Those zombies were dumb, they were slow, but if they cornered you, that was it.
Yeah, real easy to get overwhelmed.
If you were not paying attention and looking over your shoulder the whole time, you could get attacked. And so that's kind of what I like. But as much as I liked the movie World War Z, I just don't think I'm going to like that game. And I know some people are probably like, well, how do you know if you don't play it? Well, again, Overkill's The Walking Dead. I was pumped about that game. And
we had our concerns as soon as we started seeing gameplay.
Yeah, as soon as I started seeing gameplay, we were picking out all the like just the mechanics of the fighting system. Whenever they would swing a bat and they'd be like 6 feet away from the zombie, that the zombie would get hit and jump back, and you kept hearing, oh well, it's beta or it's pre-production, it's not the final. It's like, no, this is what it's gonna look like in the final build.
The choppy movements.
Yeah.
The graphics were just subpar for this generation. And then, like you said, the contact whenever you're hitting with a melee weapon, it's just it didn't feel very impactful at all.
It definitely did not.
That's a big deal for a game like a zombie game, because you want to feel the impacts of your weapons.
Yeah, well, it was a big deal. The fact that The Walking Dead was backing that license, was backing it up, and it failed.
Not anymore.
It's just pitiful, and it broke my heart. It broke my heart because I had high hopes with seeing the trailers, the teaser trailers that are coming out for the different characters in the game. I was like, this zombie game is going to top every single zombie game that's ever come out, and instead it was the complete opposite. It was at the very bottom. Anyway, so I have Dying Light as my third also. The gameplay, the graphics, open world, that's key for me. When we start talking about what we are looking for in an ultimate zombie game, that's going to be key. It was kind of repetitive for me. And again, I don't care about the super zombies. I don't care about the zombies that are like,
Big-
oh, whoa.
Big Hulk zombies.
Yeah, and I guess for gameplay it's fun, but I think about Dead Rising, the very first Dead Rising.
Yeah.
There were
Man.
pros and cons to that game, but think about the first time you played that game and you're coming through the mall and you see hundreds of zombies.
First time I think I've ever seen that many characters
Yeah.
on screen in a game.
Yeah, and there were hundreds of zombies and they're all moving slow, but you would find situations where you're trying to do something for a few seconds. You look and there's a clearing, you're like, I've got some time to go over there and do that. And then you go over there and you're trying to do something, and all of a sudden you look around and here's 4 or 5 of them behind you. And I remember that feeling of like, oh my goodness, I've got to do something,
Yeah.
because they're all around me. And that feeling of it's uneasiness of there's no security or protection, just having to go in and get back out.
Yeah,
So
having
you
to
can save
constantly watch
yourself.
your back.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that about it. Not the jumping down and here comes 12 high-speed running, Usain Bolt zombies
Yeah.
coming after you.
For me, I know I mentioned Left 4 Dead earlier, but then after we got to talking about Resident Evil, I had remembered about Resident Evil 4 for the GameCube,
Yeah,
and I might have to put that one at 3 for me,
that's interesting.
because it's another one of those. It's not directly a zombie game. They changed the virus up, but the gameplay overall, the new over-the-shoulder camera that they had implemented in that game, I mean, it was fantastic. And it did get a little over the top with some of the mutations and stuff, but it fits in the Resident Evil world, so I wasn't too concerned with that.
Yeah, and that's an interesting choice, because I wouldn't have thought of 4 being zombie games, but I guess maybe that kind of is borderline, just like Last of Us is.
Yeah.
I don't know. But maybe it could be classified as a zombie-esque type game.
Yeah.
I think it would be borderline like Last of Us.
It's Resident Evil, so it counts.
It's Resident Evil, so it counts. There are so many more games out there that are good games, but I had to pick my tide somewhere, let them do whatever, and then go back to doing what I was doing, and a balance. I think it's more balance, and I think about the show The Walking Dead. I know we brought up this title so much, but the show The Walking Dead. I think about that show, and that's my perfect idea of a world with zombies, but as a video game.
Yeah. I feel like something that a zombie game would have to focus on too is hunting, looting,
Yeah.
stuff that makes you feel like you're actually trying to survive and stay alive in the world.
Yep.
Setting up camps. I mean,
Yes.
essentially every gameplay mechanic that they have in Red Dead Redemption 2, but with zombies.
Yeah,
in
with zombies.
a more modern day setting.
More modern day setting, so you can find weapons, ammo. You might be able to find a car or something that you can do. You may even have to go find some parts or have some parts in your backpacks you've collected to maybe get a car working. There's no telling. And one of the things in the GTA 5 mods that I saw, there was somebody who set up a tent on top of an RV or maybe it was a rooftop or something like that. Set up a tent and a campfire up there, and that's where they camped out, so they weren't on the ground sleeping, and they could get attacked by a horde of zombies. And so that's probably the closest game that I've seen that would qualify as my dream zombie game. So Rockstar, we need you to create an open world zombie game and use your amazing capabilities ASAP. That's going to be huge. So I guess some of the things that I would like to see in a zombie game, I've got a list here I'll read, but it's open world, survival, that's going to be key.
Of course.
Great graphics. Character actually seems to be part of the world. So again, there's not floating or ice skating across the when characters walk up and down stairs, it's like that weird, like,
they
not even
slide.
making contact. Yeah, stuff like that just draws me out instantly. I just can't stand it.
You want them to feel like their actions actually have weight.
Yeah. Weapon interaction, slow zombies, so no super zombies, and deadly and hordes. So those are the kind of the key ingredients.
And you would want, at least in particular pockets of the game, you would want like large hordes.
Yeah.
Not 5-6 zombies.
No, like you see
Every little,
like
I mean,
hundreds of them coming over the horizon, and you can choose to go in and
like Dead Rising
take them
style
out.
hordes.
Yes. Go in and take them out or avoid them altogether.
Now, speaking of that, what about the new Days Gone for PlayStation? How do you feel about that one?
Oh man, that one gives me a panic attack. That game looks amazing, and it's got a Last of Us feel.
Yeah,
That's what a lot of people are saying. Is it kind of looks and has a feel of Last of Us, which is great. I'm looking forward to that game. I know they're fast-moving zombies, but I think the story's going to be phenomenal. The graphics are beautiful from what I've seen.
and the zombie hordes look terrifying.
The zombie hordes look terrifying, even though they're sprinting at you like crazy. And one thing I've noticed is that when, in the gameplay footage I've seen, whenever you turn around and shoot at them, they drop pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So
it's not like you're
not
unloading
like-
a full clip into a zombie to kill it.
Exactly. Plus, it looks like the mobility, like the being able to jump on top of buildings and climb whatever, is kind of a key thing too. So there's almost like an excitement in that type of game. So I'm curious to see. That game could change my whole concept as far as fast-moving zombies. But when it comes to a game like that, I could see that being okay.
Yeah.
But when it comes to I just woke up in the middle of a zombie apocalypse and now I need to survive.
Yeah.
I don't want 200 zombies sprinting at me full speed. I want to be able to be able to gather some stuff, maybe build something, a shelter, find food, and then go from there and take it on. Something we haven't talked about before we end this video. What did you think about the Dead Island games?
I actually love the Dead Island games, but at this point, they're not games that I can say I would go back and play.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them at the time period that they came out, but now that Dying Light has come out, and it's more of a predecessor to those games, and then they've also got Dying Light 2 coming out. I've seen some gameplay videos of it, and it looks like it's going to be amazing. The Dead Island games, I enjoyed them. I loved them when they were out, but I don't think they really stand the test of time.
Yeah, I loved them. I thought they were great. You had Dead Rising that kind of started that genre of zombie game, you know. Then you had Dead Island, which came out. I love Dead Island. I love the story on it. Riptide was really cool.
Yeah.
Dead Island 3?
No, they came out with Dead Island 1, Dead Island 2, and then they had Dead Island Riptide, I believe.
Was it Riptide the third? Okay.
I don't even know that Riptide was the third one. I think it was
an
more or less,
add-on.
yeah.
It was an add-on. So yeah, Dead Island 3. Of course, they showed the teaser at E3 a couple of years ago. I was so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, that looks awesome. The virus has come to the States, and I love the video. Like they're really good at making teaser video trailers for their games, and
that was actually my most disappointing thing about the first game was the teaser video that they initially released of the family in the hotel room, and it was a fantastic video, and it really set the tone. And then you go to play the game, and it was like that tone wasn't there. It was a little more lighthearted, a little more goofy.
Yeah, and it wasn't there, but
the gameplay made up for it.
The gameplay was great. The weapon system, the fighting, but I remember how cool it was at the beginning when you're going through the hotel trying to get yourself out, and you could go to the room where that happened.
Yeah, and see the family.
So so it was so creative on how they did that and allowed you to go and see that room. But the Dead Island series, I loved them.
Yeah.
And the Dead Island 3 has been off and on. I think they announced it at E3 a few years ago. Then they said, well, it's not being made. Then I heard sometime last year, or read in an article that somebody's picking it up and they're going to work on it, and I haven't heard anything since. So I haven't researched it either since then. But part of me almost wishes that they would come out with the Dead Island 3 game, because I would like to see what it would look and feel like on the next gen system. With that being said, I think we covered everything. So if you all enjoy the video, if you have an opinion, if you have your favorite 3, your worst 3, drop it in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Exit Strategy Games. We're hoping that if this video is semi-successful,
like 10 likes or so.
Yeah, 10 likes, and because we're desperate, then we'll do another video on our opinions on whatever genre game, whatever game type, or anything like that. So you just let us know in the comments below, and
send recommendations.
Yeah, recommendations.
Anything you want us to talk about.
Yeah, that was a big word.
What, recommendations?
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent a lot of money for that word.
That's like 6 letters.
Yeah. It's like a $20 word.
Yeah. So, cool. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Exit Strategy Games Zombie Edition. And we'll see you guys later.
See ya.
See ya.